Week 17 YouTube video here with the Siege. Week 17, a little harder than all the other weeks. We don't have a lot of injury information yet. Teams are holding it close to the vest for reasons I still don't understand, especially because a lot of these teams are out of contention. So, again, Midnight Madness on Twitch, 12 a.m., twitch.tv/TheSeigeDFS. Hopefully we'll get a lot of Schefter tweets and Rappaport tweets of guys who are sitting, so we have a little more clearer picture of the entire slate. I'm going to do the best I can based off what I have now on Saturday afternoon. Just a heads up that this stuff definitely can and will change as kind of the next 24 hours evolve. So first things first, I'm just going to kind of go through the playoff clinching scenarios just so you kind of know who has what to play for. Saints can get a bye if they win and either Green Bay or San Fran loses. Green Bay gets a bye if they win. Home field throughout if San Fran loses as well. Kansas City locks in the number 3 seed with a win. They can get the number 2 seed if the Patriots lose. Patriots, of course, then get the number 2 seed with a win. That's it for the early window. Late window, Pittsburgh gets in with a win and a Tennessee loss. Tennessee with a win gets in. Oakland needs Pittsburgh and Tennessee losses and like 19 other things to happen, but they're still technically alive. Dallas gets in with a win and a Philly loss. Philly gets in with a win. And that's all your playoff clinching scenarios that do not involve the Sunday night game, which is not on the slate. So this is the week where I have to pay attention to all the guys sitting and who's playing. So, the Vikings are sitting all their guys. Houston will probably do the same, assuming Kansas City wins in the early window. But they're all listed as questionable, but I'm just going to assume they're out. Raquel Armstead is starting for Leonard Fournette. And there'll be a lot of stuff we don't know that might come out later, too. Jared Goff might sit. Kyler Murray might sit. So, you got to be kind of willing to adapt here kind of as we move along. Oh, I forgot to announce the winner of Free Fantasy Cruncher Pro. From Week 16, it's 22 Jason 22. Your account's set up with a free week of Fantasy Cruncher Pro for NFL and NBA. Good Saturday to Saturday. And if you want to win, all you got to do, leave your name in the comments section, your Fantasy Cruncher username, with the team you think that wins by the most points this week. And we'll draw from anyone who submits one to get a free week of Fantasy Cruncher Pro. All right, quarterbacks. If I'm paying up this week, I got to know you're playing 4 quarters. So that basically would leave me with Drew Brees and Ryan Tannehill. Don't really love either spot. Jameis Winston's probably the highest I'll go for a guy that I guess theoretically could get benched. I don't see that happening. Great spot against Atlanta, highest team total of the week. That's probably the highest I'm going at quarterback this week. I love Dak Prescott. 4 quarters, half to play. Redskins are down 7 corners. Or 7 defensive backs, I guess. There's technically a safety or 2 in there. But they're depleted in the secondary. A lot of people are going to go to Zeke in the running game. I like the passing game there a lot. I think Drew Lock is a very interesting play against a Raiders team that doesn't... I guess they have something to play for, but not really. They're kind of drawing dead. But I really like the spot for Drew Lock against this Oakland secondary. Other cheap options you can play. Phillip Rivers on the road is an option. RG3 is an option, but I just really don't like that spot against Pittsburgh in a must-win game. Will Grier is an option as well if you want to go that way. I don't hate it for sure. And if we get some of the other backup news, like Case Keenum will be pretty popular. I don't have a lot of interest in him, but he's fine if you want to go that way. And I'm sure there's another backup or 2 that will end up starting on Sunday, so keep your eye out on that. But the ones right now that I have interest in are Will Grier and Case Keenum down here. But for me, it's really a lot of Drew Lock, a lot of Dak Prescott. I could see playing Carson Wentz, but I just don't really like him, and I don't think he's as good as people think he is. So I'd rather just play Dak against the team that's depleted in the secondary. For me, so I'm going to be paying up for a lot of running backs this week. Going to be a lot of platoon situations. So for me, I'm going to lock in as much McCaffrey and Aaron Jones as I can get. Aaron Jones needs 2 touchdowns to set the record for most touchdowns in a season for Green Bay. So I think he gets it. McCaffrey needs 70 receiving yards to get the 1,000 season. So figure it take him 6 or 7 catches to get those 70 yards. I think he's got a really safe floor this week, even if they have nothing to play for. A lot of people are going to play Zeke. I think Zeke's fine. I would rather play Aaron Jones and McCaffrey first. I love Joe Mixon in this spot against Cleveland's terrible run defense. I mentioned it last week. This is the last chance for him to potentially get that big game before the holdout. I don't mind him. I think Sony Michel is super interesting as we kind of scroll down here, but DeAndre Washington will appear first. He'll be a chalk value play. I don't mind him. Sony Michel against Miami, they could definitely see him trying to get that 100 and a touchdown game out of him. 4,900 is super cheap in a spot the Patriots should control. A lot of people are going to play Damian Williams. I just don't like Damian Williams. They've been rotating those guys a tons. I'd rather just go ahead and play Raquel Armstead here, 4,400. Going to get all the work. Can catch the ball better than people think. He's the cheap guy that I like the most this week. Other than that, there's really nothing down here that's really piquing my interest a ton. So it's really just pay up for me or pay all the way down with the value options. Wide receiver, of course, you got some options at the top. Devontae, Julio, Michael Thomas, Tyreek Hill. You got to be careful on Tyreek Hill. Might not need to play an entire game this week. Other than that, I'm kind of out of this next tier. There's a lot of teams that are out of it and don't really have a whole lot to play for. The next guy I have interest in is Amari Cooper, 6,500. Price is way down. Must-win game. Terrible secondary against Washington. Has all the makings of an Amari Cooper. Breaks the slate. Breaks the slate. That sounded pretty weird. Cortland Sutton. Obviously, if I like Drew Lock, going to be all about Cortland Sutton. I like that combination a lot. If you're looking for some cheaper guys, Michael Gallup's only 5,400. That's the lowest he's been in a long time. 5,400. Basically since that Week 5 game against Green Bay. It's a really good spot for him. I think it's a good place to buy low. Greg Ward. Been all in on Greg Ward the last 2 weeks. This week's no different. Love Greg Ward. Must-win game. No Zach Ertz. Going to get as much targets as he can handle against this Giants secondary. They didn't have to throw much against the Cowboys because the Cowboys couldn't score, but I'm going right back to Greg Ward this week as well. Like Steven Sims Jr., he'll be a lot more popular than Greg Ward just based off of last week, but I don't mind it with Case Keenum throwing him the football. He should get 10-plus targets. Other options, John Ross is an option. I'm not going to go there. I just think a lot of players are just going to go to John Ross because of all those air yards, and the game flow was perfect for him. They were down 30 early and had success throwing late, so I wouldn't go crazy there. Do you like Hunter Renfrow? It's a good spot. Raiders are still playing for something, so that's a good way to run it back if you're playing that Denver stack. I think I liked DeAndre Washington more earlier when I did a pod appearance, but I actually think Hunter Renfrow is the better way to run that back. Other cheap guys, Larry Fitzgerald, could be his last game. I don't think it will be, but something to consider. N'Keal Harry, I think this is a good spot for the Pats to get him going. I think he's another good option. So, again, as you can see, there are just a ton of cheap receivers you can play. So that's why I'm paying up at running back, just to fit in some of these cheap receivers as well. Tight ends, tight ends loaded. Kelsey, Hooper, Waller, Goddard with no Zach Ertz, 4,900. He'll be mega chalk, but it's a good option. The Tampa Bay tight ends, Howard and Brate, have been getting a lot of targets. Noah Fant's a good option. So there's a lot of good options here. Maybe Tyler Higbee sits and rests with the starters. Then Gerald Everett would be an interesting play. So I have a lot of interest in the top end of the tight ends. So Cameron Brate at 3,200 is about as low as I'm going to go, pending some news later that makes me reconsider that. Defenses, for me, it's always the Patriots, right? And against this Dolphins team, the Patriots are in another fantastic spot. I think you're going to see a lot of people play the Cincinnati Bengals defense. I think that's an option as well. I think you're going to see a lot of people play the Bears defense against Sean Mannion and the backup Vikings. That's interesting, but I just don't know if they're going to throw enough turnovers or throw enough to get those turnovers that you need to get that tournament winning score. But I think they're a perfectly solid cash game option. It's week 17, so for me, it's really tough to play any chalk defense. So I'm just going to kind of look at what the chalk is and get off of that. Although I guess if the Patriots are chalk, I'm going to eat that because this is a really good spot for the Patriots against the Dolphins. So I would expect the Patriots to be the highest scoring defense on the slate. So again, that's a quick rundown of this slate. Obviously, there's a ton of value plays that will probably open up as the night moves along. I encourage you to check out all our content over on fantasycruncher.com. I'll be doing that 12 a.m. Twitch stream, so you can check me out then with all the up-to-date information. With that, guys, good luck in Week 17.